evening. Hello and welcome. You're with the News Today, your primetime destination. News, newsmakers, talking points. Wednesday night, the big stories coming from Ladakh, where statehood protests have flared up and led to violence. My special guest tonight includes Sonam Wangchuk, the man who's become the face of protests in Ladakh. He will be joining us here on the News Today. Also, we will be looking at Kolkata's rain electrocutions. Who will be held accountable? Also, we'll be joined by Congress leader Sachin as Congress begins its Mission Bihar. All that and much more. But the story that we are breaking right at the very top, Ladakh, right on the border, is tense as statehood protests today turned violent. 4 people have been killed, 70 injured. The BJP office there has been set on fire. Prohibitory orders have been issued in Leh district. Hundreds of people, mainly youth, pouring on the streets of Leh, demanding statehood for Ladakh. Government sources claiming that the violence has been engineered deliberately. Government sources claiming youth paying price for activist Sonam Wangchuk's ambitions. Government sources claiming high-powered committee meeting on October 6th will look at all the demands, including statehood and getting a 6th scheduled status for Ladakh. But Ladakh clearly has found a tense day in an otherwise peaceful region. Listen in to what happened.
मैं आपको आश्वासन देना चाहता हूं, हम अगर इस तरह से आगे का कोई रास्ता निकलता है, पेशरफ्त होता है, तो हम शांति के साथ इस वार्तालाप को लॉजिकल कंक्लूजन तक पहुंचने तक हम यहाँ पर सब्र करके हम शांति से हम यहाँ ये सब कुछ आगे आंदोलन को रखने की हम कोशिश करेंगे। हमें उम्मीद है कि केंद्र सरकार गौर करेंगे और जितना जल्दी हो सके इस मुद्दों को हल करने के लिए अब बातचीत का सिलसिला जो है वो शुरू करेंगे।
मैं चाहता हूं आपके माध्यम से कि लद्दाख में शांति व्यवस्था बनी रहे। हमारे धार्मिक संगठन, हमारी राजनीतिक पार्टियां, हमारे सामाजिक संगठन इसके लिए आगे आए और माहौल को खराब ना होने दें। हमने देखा है जहां इस प्रकार के, हमने जम्मू को जलते हुए देखा है और इसके पीछे पाकिस्तान की साजिश थी। अभी भी जांच होगी कि कौन कौन लोग कहां से जाकर के कहां से ये इस प्रकार का पैगाम लाते हैं। तो मैं यही कहना चाहता हूं, आओ मिलजुल कर के शांति व्यवस्था को बनाए रखें।
And joining me now is our newsmaker of the moment, award-winning environmentalist activist Sonam Wangchuk, who's become the face of protest and dissent in Ladakh. Appreciate your joining us, Sonam. What's happened today is extremely tragic. The agitation that you triggered off with your fast demanding statehood for Ladakh turning violent, the BJP office being burned down, police vans being attacked, and we're told at least 4 of the protesters have died in the firing. How do you see the events that have happened in the last few hours, Sonam Wangchuk?
Rajdeep, this is one of the saddest days in my life. Generally and particularly during this movement. For the last 5 years, we have maintained utmost peace and always peaceful approaches following Mahatma Gandhi's path with unshans many times. This is the 5th time, and of 5 weeks we marched from Leh to Delhi, inflicted pain on ourselves but never on others. But today's was something totally unexpected, out of the blue, very organic, when youth came out and went on a rampage. I'm extremely saddened about it, but at the same time I can understand their frustration, because on one hand they have been jobless for the last 5 years. There have been almost no jobs, particularly at the higher levels, and democracy has been curtailed. Their demands have been unmet. So this frustration was painting, inside. And it started actually not today. It started yesterday, when out of the 15 people who are on long fast, others on a short one-day fast, out of them one elderly man and an elderly lady on their 14th day of fast were in critical condition and had to be hospitalized. They were taken on stretchers, and that boiled their blood, together with the fact that the government had given a date for talks which was so far away, almost unnecessarily, like 16 days away from the day it was announced. When people are in such critical conditions, you don't keep 16 days away the talks. So people were very upset with this, and that was the immediate cause. Well, the general
But
cause was all these.
but you're saying that this is the fury and frustration of the youth. Many of them unemployed, many of them angry that demands are not being met. But we are also hearing the BJP hitting back and now claiming that the protests were organized, orchestrated by the Congress. They claim there was a Congress councillor who was there on the streets goading and inciting the violence. Has this protest of yours been taken over by politics and political parties? Is it totally apolitical? Can you say that with confidence that there was no politics involved in the violence?
Totally, totally. Already, you should understand that from the apex body, Congress was asked to leave just to keep it apolitical. Although it was apolitical by having all parties. Then BJP exited few years ago. There was only Congress, and people said it was being politicized. So recently, the chairman of the apex body asked Congress to leave. So they even left the whole forum, and therefore it was apolitical. And even in the movement, these were like 4,000 to 5,000 young people. And I know Congress, they're not so competent that one leader of theirs can call 5,000 people. That would be too much credit of their influence on the people. They don't have any such influence, I know. And to correct the fact, it's not that they were on the road goading people. What it is that yesterday one Congress councillor did a press conference which was with lot of anger because two of these Anshan people who went in critical conditions was from his own village. So he was expressing that anger. That alone.
But then why was the BJP? Why was the BJP office targeted? Why were police vans targeted? Is this anger against the state? In some way, Gen Z protests against the state. There are those also who are likening it to what we saw in Nepal and trying to suggest that this is another attempt to spread anarchy, this time in a very sensitive area of Ladakh Leh.
I think there was no orchestration of any kind. It was completely organic. These faces, young people, nobody had seen. In fact, one complaint that Ladakhi people had was there was this movement for their jobs and none of them showed their faces in the fear of government taking pictures and videos of them and then harassing them during interviews. That has been done and therefore they would never appear. So today they all gave up all those things and came to the streets. Now police vans being burnt often happens because the police is what stops from carnage and damage to property, so they come in between. As for the BJP office, I think people here have a lot of anger against the BJP because in 2020 they had in their manifesto as point number 1 kept that Ladakh will be taken under 6th schedule. They completely took a U-turn and the next election is supposed to be in October and they're trying to not keep it this time also. So people have a lot of frustration about that. Even the jobs, BJP leaders had, on public domain said there'll be 22,000 jobs, there'll be 6,000 jobs, all kinds of promises, and hardly 1 or 2,000 maybe, but nothing like as they promised. So there has been a pent-up frustration against them, and that's the only way I can explain to myself. I don't know.
No, it's one. I know, I take your point about the pent-up frustration, the anger, but let's be clear. The demands are statehood or sixth schedule. Sixth schedule, for our viewers, remember, is what certain states in the northeast have, where the tribal states, tribal areas have far greater autonomy through various hill councils. Now, are we saying, therefore, Sonam Wangchuk, that until statehood or hill council status is given, this agitation is going to continue? You recognize after today, people will be looking at it with great degree of worry, concern, and even skepticism that could this go out of control in a border area? I repeat, in a very sensitive border area.
As I am also equally concerned as anybody else, but I think it is for the government to also think that they are allowing it to happen in a sensitive border area. They had 5 years to listen to peaceful ways of expression. You know, with the first unction, second unction, third unction, they could have settled some of these, but they kept dilly-dallying and, you know, with wishy-washy solutions. And people had, there were many hints from youth leaders and even not so young leaders that criticized me actually very badly, saying that your path of peace is no use, it's not working, at least with this government, and we now have to take a different path. And they would accuse me for keeping to the peaceful path of Anshan. So this was already building up.
You know, there are those also, of course, who are accusing you of being funded by external forces trying to destabilize the country. I see this particularly on social media with the BJP IT cell driving that Sonam Wangchuk is being sponsored by external forces who want to destabilize India. What will you tell them?
Well, right these days, there is a CBI investigation going on in our school, so they can find out very soon. So another frustration, Rajdeep, among the youth has been the way the peaceful voice from Ladakh, that was me, has been harassed by the government. In the last 2 months, that is 2 months before the elections are coming, when I was saying that they must fulfill the promises of the last election, they started on a rampage of all kinds of inquiries, starting with an FIR. Then our school's land was taken back. Then CBI inquiry on us, whereas there are so many cases openly of corruption in the UT, but the investigation is happening on us. So people were very frustrated that they're witch hunting.
I'm listening. I take your point. You claim you're being targeted. In conclusion, are you going to carry on with these peaceful protests? Because you called off your fast today because of the violence that's taken place. Will you continue this Gandhian path till you get either statehood or hill council? Is this a fight to the finish? A quick answer.
Yeah, first of all, yeah, as you reminded me, I must tell the audience that seeing that this was aggravating and the purpose of Anshan was not serving, and these young people were saying that we are concerned about the health of these people on Anshan, they may die. So we called off the Anshan itself today in the interest of peace. Now, as for future, it's very hazy now. Maybe the government takes Ladakh more seriously and we don't have to do Anshan again. But yes, I will only and always take the peaceful path, not only until this is solved, but until my death. I will only follow this path, and I have total faith that sooner or later this will work.
Sonam Wangchuk, you are one of the bravest people that I've met over the years. I know how committed you are to the cause of Ladakh, and you are, of course, a proud Indian citizen, which I hope people recognize. But for joining me on the show tonight at the very top, on this very sad day where young people have lost their lives in Ladakh, appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, let's turn from there, from Ladakh to Kolkata, a city which is still struggling to come to terms with the terrible tragedy that was inflicted after heavy rains, unprecedented rains, hit the city on Tuesday. Remember, at least 10 people have died, many of them of electrocution. The opposition, BJP, is accusing the Mamata Banerjee government of civic negligence and apathy, even as the government claims that it cannot be held responsible for nature's fury. What's the situation on the ground? Our next focus is who will be held accountable for the deaths in Kolkata. Take a look first at this report.
Flooded streets, inundated pandals, live wires in the water, dead bodies on the road. 10 people lost their lives in the heavy rains that lashed Kolkata and other parts of West Bengal in the wee hours of Tuesday, most of them electrocuted. Jitendra Singh was the sole earning member of his family. The 60-year-old was electrocuted right at his doorstep. His wife Meera is in shock.
इस जगह पे ही हुआ था पापा का।
अच्छा, कहाँ से निकल के आ रहे थे और इलेक्ट्रिक्यूशन कहाँ से हुआ?
यहाँ ओवरफ्लो की वजह से मीटर बॉक्स में पानी घुस गया था यहाँ पे, और एक सामने में कॉमन वॉशरूम में, अंदर एक वॉशरूम है, वो फ्लडिंग की वजह से पूरा फेंक रहा था ऊपर से, तो वहाँ पे कोई नहीं कर सकता था। तो पापा वहाँ से वॉशरूम करके एंटर कर ही रहे थे यहाँ पे, तो यहाँ से इनको शॉक लगा और हम एग्जैक्ट वहाँ पे खड़ा था। वहाँ पे हम पापा को बचाने की कोशिश किया, हमको भी शॉक लगा, हमको पीछे से बचा लिया।
Jitendra's neighbors point to a meter box outside the building as a reason for electrocution.
The electricity was not into the gate or any something. It is because of the flooded water, excessive water, right? The water was like this.
Ram Gopal Pandit, a driver, had ventured out on his cycle to join duty. He lost his balance while cycling through water.
खुद को बचाने की कोशिश के लिए पापा ऐसे पोल को ऐसे मतलब सपोर्ट के लिए उन्होंने पकड़ा था, तो पोल से ही शॉक लगा पापा को। सीएससी का इलेक्ट्रिक पोल था और समथिंग वायर टूटा हुआ था, कुछ वायर ऐसे मतलब झूल रहा था, ऐसे कुछ हुआ था।
Now at this moment, instead of taking responsibility of their own actions, dirty blame game has begun. The State Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has pointed her finger at the private power entity CSE. However, in a statement, CSE has claimed that all the street poles, street electric poles and traffic lights are not owned and maintained by CSE.
We are deeply saddened and grieved by such deaths due to electrocution. We have carried out a complete investigation of all such cases.
The opposition is livid. They call each death a civic murder, blaming the Mamata Banerjee government for incompetence.
Due to the heavy rainfall, water may accumulate. It is understandable. But nowhere in this country you will find this kind of deaths. These deaths are happening due to the incompetence of Mamata Banerjee's administration, and these are not the deaths, these are the murders.
Festive spirits drowned, pandals waterlogged, months of preparation destroyed.
This is the southern part of the city and Minto Park area, and look at these areas. These are all inundated, and Kolkata Municipal Corporation is trying to pump out the water from these areas, trying to drain out the water from these areas. But since yesterday, the water is receded a bit, but not as expected.
Yet the city still waits to the waters to welcome Ma. But the question echoes, will this wake-up call finally force accountability for such blatant apathy? With Anupam Mishra, Tapas Sengupta and Rajesh Saha in Kolkata, Bureau Report, India Today.
Questions: Kolkata's rain deaths, nature's fury or civic negligence? Who is to blame for electrocution deaths? Kolkata administration caught sleeping or napping on the job? Will accountability be fixed? Those are some of the questions I'll raise. Shashi Panja, Minister in the government of West Bengal, joins me. Dr. Kunal Sarkar, leading citizen of West Bengal and cardiologist, and Partha Ranjan Das, architect and urban designer. Shashi Panja, I want to come to you first. Since these rains have happened, one thing is unprecedented rainfall. The other, though, is a city which simply seems unable to cope with this rainfall. Then when deaths take place of electrocution, blames everyone but itself. The CAC, the Calcutta Electricity Supply Corporation, says, look, we are not responsible for what happens on electric poles or on traffic lights where short circuits take place. That's the responsibility of the civic authorities. Why are you passing the buck, Shashi Panja? Why not take responsibility and get your act together?
No, one thing is very clear is that what Kolkata has faced is a torrential downpour which has been unprecedented. I mean, 300 millimeters of intense, severe 6-hour cloudburst rain. And this is what we had to cope up with. Now, the deaths are truly heartbreaking. But this is also true, and for what you have shown also, that meters and electric meters and safety from them is one very big issue, which our Honorable Chief Minister has also then reached out to CSC immediately, that they should look onto it. We are not passing the buck. We never do it. You know, what we had inherited in 2011 was
in yesterday's statement of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, she has clearly held CSC responsible. She's held the Calcutta Electricity Supply Corporation responsible for this. They in turn are saying we are not responsible for the upkeep of electric poles. They are only distributing, they're saying.
I hope you can see me.
Yes.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Rajdeep, because I can't see you anymore.
Yes, I can.
I'm sorry. Hello, can you hear me? Because I can't see you. So
yes, ma'am, I can.
No, this is true. And CSC has been also told to examine. And because Didi has been very indignant about this. And she has also mentioned that we need to compensate for this. And not only, we need to learn lessons from this. These are very severe critical issues, something where we don't politicize. I mean, that is very dangerous again. What is so very unfortunate is that even over such crises, there should be empathy, there should be sympathy, and what we noticed was politics. So let's leave that narrative outside. You know, those who, I also wish to mention that we are being held up saying that these are civic murders. I mean, such severe language. Look at, I mean, those who, the Morbi bridge tragedies, and so many bridge collapses and flyovers collapsing, and they are speaking about civic murders. Those are, were those governments not accountable?
That's what about ma'am. You know what happened in Morbi? When Morbi happened, I went for the BJP government. When Calcutta happens, I will question you. When Delhi happens, I will question the Delhi government. I want to tell you this.
Yes,
there
absolutely.
are anchors today who are either with one side or the other. I only want to ask the questions. Kolkata citizen, you can't use Morbi as an excuse.
No. I'm saying you don't know the narrative which is building up here, Rajdeep. You should actually be on the streets of Kolkata and be in Bengal. What we have faced, we have been continuously over the years complaining about that they should be dredging. Constant dredging. You see, in Kolkata, we are the lowest portion. We receive all the water which comes out from Bihar, from UP. We have been appealing for dredging in the past. We have been appealing that they should be dredging in the DDC, the Maithon and the Panchet. But you see, when you bring in politics, this is what happens. You deprive Bengal and you deprive it from dredging. How much? This is not something that we are newly talking about. You look into the archives, you will find Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister, speaking about this in the past, that there has not been dredging, funds have not reached us so that we can dredge. It is very important because you see all the silt then gathers. Now, if there is silt there in the Ganges,
that is the waterlogging issue, ma'am. I want to separate the two. I am asking you about the deaths due to electrocution. Some of them died in their house. I am not blaming the government. But when people die, when they because of electric poles and traffic signals, then you've got to ask questions, yes or no.
No, even the electric poles, we have said, it has been spoken to with the CSC even in the past, that this has to be looked into, even overhead wires, etc., everything. Because when you steal, electricity you collect from these poles, then why does CSC then step in to catch them? It's because the ownership is there. So, yes, of course, again, we are saying we are not blaming anybody. We are ourselves at the receiving end. We are it is very heartbreaking. We don't want us people to educate us about this. Yes, it's our people, our lives that we have lost. We are truly aggrieved and very disheartened about it. Yes, of course. But the entire situation has been such, it's been very unsafe for those people who actually got electrocuted. And yes, even CSC has to take ownership of this. If not that, then why did CSC announce for these
I'm glad
compensation,
to hear
etc.?
that. I'm glad to hear that
everybody
there
has
is
to.
that you are willing to take accountability, asking for CSC to take accountability. Partha Ranjan Das, you're an architect, urban designer. Is there something deeply flawed that that water logging takes place, or is it simply because the rains were so heavy that Kolkata had no chance?
You can't blame Kolkata for it. You know, the rate of water falling down during heavy monsoon, no drainage can clear all the water. I mean, it can never happen anywhere in the world. No city can take care of that. But gradually, it should go down. The problem of Calcutta is that the city gradually slopes down from the river Hooghly. And then when the eastern developments happen, Salt Lake and Newtown, there was this construction of the Eastern Metropolitan Bypass, which acts like a bandh. So Calcutta city has become like a saucer. Now, how do you pump out the water? If the river water in Hooghly and all the other tributaries going down into Bay of Bengal are full during late monsoon, then there is no way you can pump out the water. But nevertheless, I mean, the drainage channels should be clean. That should be a regular affair, which is not done, not only in Calcutta, but also in places like Newtown and Salt Lake. So that is something that the civic authorities should take care of. And I think CAC also
You're
has to be
raising an
blamed.
important point, the cleaning of the drains. You're saying
Yes.
that is something that certainly can be addressed. Cleaning of
Yes.
drains before the monsoon and at regular intervals during dry periods, which has been a big problem, in fact, in several parts of India, but we are seeing it in Kolkata at the moment. I want to turn to you, Dr. Kunal Sarkar. As you can see, we are seeing the usual passing the buck, India's famous political game. But do you believe that accountability will be fixed, can be fixed? Is there a problem in the way civic authorities across India, but particularly in this instance in Kolkata, respond at times? Yes, we've seen the mayor on the ground, but that's not enough. You're going to have to fix accountability.
Rajdeep, thanks for having us with you this evening. You see, the Indian citizen has been a victim of urban planning inefficiency, lack of vision repeatedly, and Kolkata has been no exception. But what is absolute appalling on this occasion, honestly speaking, is the slipshod attitude that has been shown by the CESE. Now, I cannot get into the history of CESE, but CESE is a very privileged entity in Bengal. The history of CESE goes far beyond the Trinamool government. They have a friendly alignment with the governments who are in power, and it is a company whose corpus is overflowing to that extent that they have invested themselves also in the Indian Premier League. Now, for that kind of a company,
No, I know you're talking about CESC, which is Sanjeev Goenka's own company, but CESC, when I spoke to them, says you can't hold us responsible if someone's air condition gets malfunctioning because of water logging and a short circuit takes place. You can't blame the distributor.
Rajdeep, just allow us a minute. That is not a tenable excuse at all, because CESE has got the exclusive rights of distribution and maintaining the electrical standards in the city. So I think, there must have been a deliverables agreement between them and the government of West Bengal at some stage. The government of West Bengal, the metropolitan area of Kolkata, has its own engineers and civic authorities. So in this day and age, one would believe that there is a defined role play between the government, its civic engineers, etc., and CESE as to who does what. Now, if the meter boxes, if the public utilities are getting electrocuted, number one, it is the responsibility of the entity who constructed them. Number two, it is the responsibility of the entity who has supplied those structures with electrical power. The ease with which CSE has sort of teased themselves away from the responsibility on this occasion is not believable at all. And I would, Dr.
Okay.
Paja is there
Therefore,
in the panel. So I would implore as a citizen of the city that we have a private electrical provider to the city. So let between the government and the private provider, let there be a clarity of understanding that who is doing what. It is frightening, absolutely frightening for us. If CSE can just turn the other way, turn their back and say that a traffic light is electrocuted, the lamppost has gone live, and none of our responsibility. As a person of common sense, Rajdeep, yes, lot of blame lies at the door of the state government, its officials, its engineers. But the ease with which CESE, who enjoys one of the highest electrical tariffs in the country, who are brimming with surplus, if this is their standard of upkeep and public safety in a city of more than 1 crore people, it is pathetic.
I've taken your point. Therefore, I will conclude by asking you, Shashi Panja, biggest learnings. You've heard from our town planner that we've got a situation where your government needs to ensure that the drains are cleaned routinely, regularly before the monsoon in dry periods, and you've got to set certain clear division of responsibilities between government and the distributor, in this case CSE. Are those lessons going to be learnt or not? Or once Durga Puja celebrations start in a few days, everything will be forgotten?
No, we don't forget. Secondly, is that you must understand there's a lot of development happening in the city too. Even the metro is undergoing construction at various points. And if everybody has to take ownership of the rubbish the rubbish which comes out and how it has to be disposed. Even as a citizen of the city, even I have to be very much aware of the plastics I dispose of. How do I do? Do I really, environment pollution, that factor also comes in. But this is very true that the city also has undergone a lot of development, which was not there in the past. And as again, I wish to reiterate, we never are the sorts who pass the buck. It is true that we need to dredge the larger river, the bigger river. Dredging in the city is an ongoing process. This time, Rajdeep, we've had a very prolonged rainy season. This is also true. It seems that we are graduating from the rainy season onto the winter season directly. There's nothing in between. There's not been a dry spell at all. Even pujas are going to be marred by this. So this is the difficulty that we are all in. We have lots of constructions happening. There is ongoing
Nobody is
Nobody
is trying to minimize the challenge faced. But as I keep saying, it is for governments and private entities to accept accountability, to ensure that the mistakes of 2025 are not repeated. To all my guests for joining me here on the show tonight, thank you very much. Nature's fury or indeed civic negligence, you the viewer needs to decide. Now, for the first time since independence, the Congress Working Committee met in Bihar today, marking a significant political shift and signaling an attempt by the party, a renewed focus on the state that's going to assembly polls in a few weeks from now. From launching a full-blown vote chori campaign against the Election Commission to now today promising reservation reforms, including reservations for extremely backward classes in private sector, the Congress along with the Mahagatbandhan is trying to pull out all the stops in battleground Bihar. But can the Congress really recover and revive in a state like Bihar? We'll be joined by Sachin Pilot in a moment, but first, take a look at this report.
First time since independence, the Congress party held its working committee meet in Bihar on Wednesday, a move loaded with political symbolism. At the CWC meeting, party leaders hailed Rahul Gandhi's Voter Adhikar Yatra in Bihar.
वोटर अधिकार यात्रा की वजह से बिहार की जनता में इसके बारे में जागरूकता फैली और वो खुलकर राहुल गांधी जी के समर्थन में लोग आए, जुड़े और बहुत बड़ा फायदा कांग्रेस पार्टी को हुआ।
The Congress is doubling down on its Vote Chor, Gaddi Chhod campaign. It is planning night marches at district headquarters, state-level rallies and a signature campaign against the EC from 15th September to 15th October, which will feature 5 crore people. The party has been accusing the EC of turning a blind eye to alleged voter list fraud that involves large-scale addition and deletion of voters.
मैंने हाइड्रोजन बॉम्ब की बात करी है, वो आएगा, ठहर जाइए, वो आ रहा है, वो आएगा.
Later, at the Ati Pichhda Nyay Sankalp rally, Rahul Gandhi promised quota for the extremely backward and private institutions.
सामाजिक न्याय की हम सब बात करते हैं. लोकसभा में मैंने नरेंद्र मोदी जी के सामने 2 बातें कही. पहली बात कि पूरे देश में जाति जनगणना होगा, और दूसरी बात जो 50% की रिजर्वेशन की दीवार बना रखी है, इसको हम तोड़ के फेंक देंगे.
The BJP rubbished Rahul's claim on social justice.
मुझे तो लगता है नेपो की राहुल गांधी जी का कहीं ना कहीं रिकॉर्ड प्लेयर वहीं अटक गया है. वही बातें बार बार दोहराते हैं. ओबीसी को लेकर, रिजर्वेशन को लेकर किस प्रकार की मानसिकता कांग्रेस पार्टी की रही थी, तो मैं डेट देना चाहूंगा. 6 सितंबर 1990 में राहुल गांधी जी के पिताश्री राजीव गांधी जी ने अपने जीवन काल का सबसे लंबा भाषण पार्लियामेंट के अंदर रिजर्वेशन के खिलाफ दिया था.
From vote chore slogans and big promises on reservation, the battle for Bihar is heating up.
However, it remains to be seen whether Congress's major poll pitch really reaps dividend for the party in the upcoming Bihar Assembly elections. With video journalist Sanjay, this is Mosmi Singh in Patna for India Today.
And joining me now is another of our special guests today. I'm joined by Sachin, pilot, senior leader now of the Congress and of the Congress Working Committee. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Pilot. First meeting, of course, in Bihar in years and decades. I'll come to that in a moment. But I want to begin by asking you, your party resolution, among other things, has once again made vote chori or vote theft one of your central planks. Do you seriously believe that the elections of this country are being subverted by the Election Commission or the BJP? Do you really believe that the vote Adhikar Yatra of Rahul Gandhi and his vote chori campaign will have any impact on the voters of Bihar who seem to have more pressing livelihood issues, roti, kapda, makan, naukri, not connected to vote chori, Mr. Pilot?
Absolutely. But I also believe that the rights that citizens have because of our constitution is a privilege. And if there is any malpractice or a willful sort of taking away of the right of people to vote, additions, deletions, 200 people in one home, dead people having votes and, considered dead or walking around, those kind of, mischievous malpractices have to be brought to light. And I think Mr. Gandhi has shown beyond doubt with data and evidence that there has been a large-scale manipulation of votes that has to be investigated. It's very sad that the Election Commission refuses to launch an inquiry and get to the bottom of it. We, of course, have taken it up at a national level, but don't forget, Bihar is also a state where issues such as the recent flood devastation, the farmers, the young people, job losses, paper leaks are very, very important pressing issues. So the working committee today, in the meeting today, we decided to move ahead with both agendas. The repeated attempt to marginalize our institutional bodies and the transparency of the Election Commission, those are important national issues. Along with that, the regional issues. The Bihar, for 11 years, we've had a government of India who has promised the moon to Bihar, but nothing has happened. And the Bihar government here itself, despite being double engine, has proven to be a complete failure. There is a palpable sense of change. And I think the Mahagatbandhan will be...
I'll come, Mr. Pilot, to the specific issues of Bihar, but I want to ask you again. When you target the Election Commission and claim it is in collusion with the BJP, there will be those who will say this is simply an excuse, that an alibi the Congress is giving for its own lack of internal reforms for the failure of your organization. You don't succeed in winning votes and then you blame the EC and the BJP.
What blame? If there is some discrepancy, there is some illegality in the voters list, in the voting patterns, in the numbers that we have, then you should have an unbiased inquiry. Had the Election Commission said, yes, Mr. Gandhi, we've seen the facts that you brought to the fore, I'm putting up a high-level inquiry, and in 1 month we'll get to the bottom of it. They refuse to inquire. They refuse to refute the allegations, and they in fact try and browbeat the opposition. That's not acceptable. If we have some facts in our hands, it is incumbent upon the Election Commission to have a fair, unbiased inquiry, which is transparent. And if they find nothing in the inquiry, fair enough. But you can't be that we will not inquire. We will destroy the CCTV footage that they have of the polling booths in 45 days. We won't share voter list with the political parties. Those all actions indicate that there is something sinister. And we just want a election commission that is open, fair, transparent, because they are the torch keepers of the democratic values that the country has espoused for 75 years. And what is wrong in asking for accountability?
Mr. Pilot, let's come back. Let's come back to the issues of Bihar. You said at the outset that you believe there's a sense of change. The fact, though, is the Congress has not been in power for well over 3 decades in Bihar. We've seen the Congress's vote share shrinking. You will recall in the last assembly elections, it was the Congress that let down the Mahagatbandhan, contested 70 seats, won just 17. Is Congress the weakling, the kamzor kadi of the Mahagatbandhan? Indeed, across the Hindi heartland, you've been unable to revive yourself now in states like Bihar for decades.
I take your point, and I think there are some weaknesses that we have to overcome. But this is election time, and our allies and partners are giving strength to each other. It's a symbiotic relationship. The pure numbers itself for the last elections, I have to say that the seats we got to fight were not the most winnable seats. But we contested those elections, and we got a fair number. But this time, we hope to increase our strike rate. At the same time, the energy and the chemistry of the coalition is far better than what we have in the NDA. The BJP and JDU are at each other's throat. They're making allegations on ministers of each other, etc. So there's a sense that people have had enough. They're fed up. They want a real change. And I think the Congress party has also taken upon itself Rahul Gandhi's yatra in Bihar. I was here to witness most of it. It is absolutely amazing to see the overwhelming response of the people, especially in rural areas. So that gives me confidence that people are now yearning for a change. And the Congress, along with the allies, will certainly be the catalyst of that change.
But you're talking of the overwhelming response to Rahul Gandhi's yatra. You're saying that you're seeing chemistry in your Mahagatbandhan. But I want to ask you this straight and simple. Why doesn't your Mahagatbandhan announce Tejasvi Yadav as its face or the leader for chief minister? Once again, the Congress seems reluctant to give primary space to a regional party, which is really in the front of the fight. It is the RJD which is the primary force in Bihar. So why doesn't Congress openly announce Tejasvi as their leader? Why the reluctance?
We are a political party and a practical party. We know who the larger partner in Bihar is. We know who the larger partner in Uttar Pradesh is. But I think elections are still far away. The right time, the party will take a right decision. But for now, let's not focus on individuals who will get what post. The fight in NDA and BJP is about post. Nitish Kumarji's, changed parties 4 times just to be in post. We want to change the whole system and the administration that has happened in Bihar. The people of Bihar are much more deserving. There is a historical significance Bihar has, political contribution people of Bihar have made. I think we can't wish that away just by giving one person or 2 people some positions. So our party is very clear. We fight together. We get the majority at the right time. All these questions will be answered. There's no holding back.
But in all of this, Mr. Pilot, I reiterate the state of the Congress organization. You can't win elections without a strong organization. You've gone about vote chori, but it reflects also on how your booth level agents function. They are the ones who should have caught this chori if it exists. The Congress had claimed that 2025 is the year that we'll get the organization back on track. I don't see that happening. How are you going to translate the crowds that Rahul Gandhi attracted in his Vote Adhikar Yatra into actual votes during elections in Bihar?
You must change your source of inputs, because this last 9 months, there has been a sea change in the Congress organization. We have appointed district presidents, ran new exercise of how to delegate more power to them. There's Sangathan Srijan Abhiyan for the last 8 months, about a dozen states have gone through it. So people are seeing the change at the grassroots level. We are now focusing on the booth management, the panchayats, the blocks, the mandals, and we're making people who are effective and young who can bring about that change on the ground. So without the political force of the organization, of course, nothing is possible. But don't forget, Congress has traditional roots in all these states. We may not be in power for a long time. It doesn't mean our ideology or our workers have become weaker. And moving forward, this next few months left in 2025, they're going to make sure that we have at the grassroots level strong, energetic people who will take the agenda forward. This has to go hand in hand. The narrative, the election issues, the grassroots support, people support, and our booth level workers. We all have to work in tandem.
I also find it interesting, Mr. Pilot, that in your resolution at the CWC, you've suggested that Nitish Kumar is a liability for the BJP. Till about 18 months ago, he was very much part of your India alliance. Had he stayed with you, you might even have won the 2024 general election. Suddenly, you're calling him a liability. Why this sudden shift? Moment he shifts to BJP, you call him a liability. The same Nitish Kumar, when he was part of the India alliance, was all okay?
Because it's evident the BJP is pulling him back. He can hardly do any programs. They're dictating from Delhi. The BJP is a much bigger partner in the coalition, the power sharing scenario. And the kind of allegations the BJP is making against the JDU ministers and vice versa, it's open secret. And I think there are many issues to it. I don't want to go into personal details, but absolutely on the ground, Mr. Kumar is nowhere to be seen. BJP has used him to up its game. And I'm sure if at all, very little chance of that happening, if at all they do get a majority, BJP will push for its own person as opposed to Nitish Kumar. So they're basically just dealing with him till the elections are over. And that's why Mr. Kharge and the resolution says that he's a liability for the BJP.
Let's talk once again about the Hindi heartland itself. The sense, as I said, over the last 30 years, the BJP has captured a strong coalition led by OBC groups. They've penetrated into Dalit groups. They've mandalized themselves. They've captured the upper caste already. So they have a Mandal Mandir broad coalition. How do you then revive yourself in a state like Bihar, where you're holding a CWC today after 1940 for the first time after 85 years? Is that your biggest challenge, broadly battling the forces that have emerged in the Hindi heartland, Mandal and Mandir, particularly Mandal in Bihar?
There are 30 states. If you do, once every 2 years, it'll be 60 years before we come back to a different state. So that math is wrong. But I take your point that we have to get a larger section of people to come and vote for us. But I do believe that the BJP's narrative is also quite polarizing. It's not about, societal, groups together. It's more on Mandir, Masjid, Hindu, Muslim. That sort of polarization happens in every, small bits. It keeps on ticking along. Ultimately, it's about governance and delivery. And I think the government of India for 11 years has really let down the people to a far extent. And most of the states that they're functioning, it's so driven by top-heavy leadership that the grassroots impact of the programs is negligible. I'm of the opinion that India Alliance and Congress Party, being for the forefront, are a much larger political force than the current BJP NDA. And the next elections in Bihar and Assam will be a good example of how, if we get together, we can defeat the BJP NDA.
You, Sachin Pilot, have said that the BJP plays Hindu-Muslim politics, but there will now be the accusation Congress is trying to revive caste politics. Today, Rahul Gandhi has announced a reservation will be given to extremely backward class in private sector. Earlier, he spoke of caste census politics. It seems that if the BJP is going to play Hindu-Muslim, you're going to now play the caste card strongly. Is that your strategy in a state like Bihar to move beyond the Yadav Muslim base, attract new castes, EBCs in particular, and that is your big challenge? Can the Congress take on, in a way, a wider caste coalition?
I look at it differently. We are fighting for the rights of the farmers. We're fighting for young people getting jobs, fighting for better education, low crime, investments, job creation, wealth creation. All that's missing. Bihar is a very fertile ground, and the youngest population in India is probably in Bihar. What are we doing for them? Forget this upper caste, lower caste combination, but basic governance structures, basic investments. Why are so many people leaving that state and going away? Itna jo palayan ho raha hai, why is that happening? We want to set the problems that are there, set them aside and start afresh. The state needs a new beginning, a new starting point. And I think we as in the opposition are fully prepared with a positive agenda, a blueprint to give Bihar a new lease of life. They've tried everything else. They tried NDA, BJP, Nitish Kumar for so many years. People want a change. I think it's much beyond caste politics. I think people are yearning for a change, and we will be that change.
Well, all I can say, we'll wait and see how whether your strategy plays out, your Bihar focus plays out, Sachin Pilot. But as always, for joining me, I appreciate you joining me. As I said, On the news today, we make an effort to get newsmakers, but we also make an effort to bring you the news without the noise. We have to together redefine prime time. I want to leave you with a reminder. Tomorrow is the big India Today conclave that will be in the West, in Mumbai. Lots of special guests, starting with Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis will be there, so don't miss out on that.